Hello and welcome to Winter Disco Tables of Gaming. In this video we are unboxing the big boy, the Command Edition for Warhammer 40k 9th edition. Pretty excited. We've already opened the, what are they called again? The small little one, the Recruit Edition. Had a couple models, but this is the big boy. This one has the train and small models. So let's pull it over and we'll have a look first on the back. So it shows off everything that you get. So you get the 80-page command manual, 184-page rulebook, which, look there, this is something I will talk about, because I've been a bit of conjecture about that. Terrain pieces, you get the cardboard, and you get a whole bunch of models. And we'll pick them out as we go. So let's get this box open. I will say though, before we open it, and I might do this for maybe another video a bit more in-depth, but I don't like the box art. I don't think anyone's really commented on it. I didn't particularly like the Dark Imperium box art. I love the 2nd edition and the 3rd edition box art. I want big battles on the front. I want hills of cascading enemies shooting off and banners and flags and everything, but that's just my own personal preference. You know, I just happen to really like that. I think it's probably because I did start in 2nd edition. So it's extremely nostalgic for me whenever I see that image and look at all the different bits of art and the rule books that come in that. But, you know, that was many years ago now. 30 years ago-ish. Okay. Oh. Alright, here we go. Let's get that out of the way. So, first up, what do we have in here? Lots of sprues of terrain. Kind of exciting. We'll see how, I don't know how much terrain there actually is. I think there's 4 sprues of terrain. So we'll pull the sprues out first, and then we'll come back and have a look at them individually. So we have some Space Marine bikes. If you have seen the Indominus unboxing, you would have seen a lot of these models already. But you know, we're going to show them off again. So we have the Captain there, and the Royal Warden. Then we got a sprue of Assault Space Marines. A sprue of the destroyers, Scorpec destroyers, I believe, and a little canoptic little dude that runs around, and a squad of 10 Necrons with all the different weapon choices you get. And here we go, the 2 other sprues of terrain, and we'll come back and have a look at those in a second. Those are like the ruined sections. And we have a piece here. Little poster, not as good, not the best poster in the world. It's more just an insert to protect things. I know with a lot of the box sets, I love getting the inserts because they're actually bits of artwork. But this is just, it's fine, it is what it is. So we'll get that out of the way. So, rulebooks. We'll come back and open this in a second. So we have all the bases we need, tons of bases. So everything, dice, so 10 dice I think? Yeah, 10 dice. And we have the board. Oh, a few other bits and pieces. Oh, there's some bits of sprue. I hope that's not actually any part of a model. A couple of bits of sprue bits, maybe they just chuck them in. So we have the board. Yeah, there's bits of plastic everywhere. Yeah, the cardboard playing surface. Lots of different, this is Space Marine transfer sheet with my favourite bit on there. So we have the Crusade markings on here. I'll just bring it up a bit closer. Crusade markings, whole bunch of skulls and Aquillas and different bits and pieces. And we've got some scripture markings as well, which is really nice. And a whole bunch of numbers. So pretty straightforward, pretty standard. Although it is the Crusade icon, so this is a new sheet. Everything else is pretty much covered across any other release of Space Marines. You're going to get something like that. So we can put that aside. Okay. So put the board aside. Let's open the rule book first, or the rule books. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention 2 little measuring sticks. Yay! Let's get that box out of the way. Chuck it aside. We don't have time for no box. So we get all this plastic off. Throw that away. So, a few things here. Oh, look at that. Look how small that book is. If you recall the images that came out of the box sets and on the website, this is not what they had. They had these two books are at the same size, which is kind of confusing, misleading representation, not a true representation. I say that because part of my job in the real world, not YouTube, is looking at advertising and truthfulness in advertising. So a little misleading, although I'm not gonna lie, I like the size of it. So what are we gonna look at first? We'll come back to the rulebook because we're gonna compare it to some of the other rulebooks that you get in starter sets. So we have the command manual. I'm not gonna go through this. This is pretty straightforward. We'll flick through the sort of basic how to play. If you've watched the Recruit Edition unboxing, it's very similar, but it'll have different things. So we've got different pictures in here. So it is essentially a lot of the same book. It's all integrated as well, so how to put them all together, which is kind of cool. And then goes through different missions. So it's sort of basically the same missions as Indomitus. Sorry, not Indomitus, as the Recruit Edition. But it's just adding more and more to it. So then it's adding terrain, which is kind of cool, and some other models that you don't get in the other sets, and sort of how to deal with terrain and everything. Like I said, in the Recruit Edition, this is just such a good way to learn the game. I really think it is. Where it starts as you go back to the first mission, you have Necron warriors there, and some 3 intercessors, and it's just how to move and how to shoot. That's it. And it goes through step by step and how to play. So you could follow through and you learn how to do it. Basically, it's a tutorial, which, to be honest, as far as I recall, I don't think we've really had that in any of the 40k games. I think they've always been like, hey, here's a mission, go play. But this is much more, it's a linear progression. So you don't even build the models until you need to build them, which is awesome, instead of building all of them at once. So that's sort of how it's set up, and then we have like fighting, like physical melee, and then some more things, then it starts to go into terrain, like we've already looked at, and the bikes and more terrain, and then it starts building up more and more. So what else we got? We got some more terrain. This is another mission. So by the time you get to the mission 6, you've built everything. You have a pretty good understanding of the rules, and then you can actually go and learn the rest of the rules, and there's just images and stuff like that. Then we have the next steps, and then the next steps as well, which was in the Recruit Edition, like what to buy next. So you want to get the rules again, you want to buy the core rulebook because it'll have more stuff, then you can get the codexes, and the rules for the new models, which at time of recording and releasing are not out yet. I'm assuming if you are watching this when this video comes out, they would be out pretty soon, probably within fortnight, I would say. So we'll be getting some of those for the channel, which is cool. So that's it. It's actually, I like this way that they've done it. It coming from like a very video gamey background. It makes sense how to do it. And also coming from a role-playing game background. So how to play Dungeons and Dragons. There's no real how to play book on how to play Dungeons and Dragons. You have a giant rule book and you got to figure it out. But this seems to be, okay, you build some models, here's how you move, here's the basic structure, build some more models, okay, we're going to go a bit more advanced. I really like that. We'll pick these ones up. So this is just sheets of the different units. Nothing too major there. That's exactly what they are. So we'll get that out of the way. And we'll have a look at this little rulebook. So, like I was saying before, there was some conjecture. This rulebook it seemed to be the full-size rulebook, as in that size. When you compare it, this is the size, not the page count, but the size. So this is how big it was meant to be. Sort of that. So it's kind of small, which is a bit of a pain, and obviously way, way thinner. So this is what you get in this starter set, which is like the main starter set. In the Dark Imperium set, sorry if the camera is bouncing around, I've got everything on the table that I'm moving. This is the book that you get. So you get tons of lore. So we're just going to flick through quickly. Tons of lore. This is 8th edition. And then the rules. It's everything you need in the rules. Same with the Indomitus rulebook. Off the top of my head, I don't know if the hardback rulebook that you can buy in store has the background and lore material. Honestly, I can't remember. Off the top of my head, I haven't actually really looked in it, so can't say too much about that. But this has, let's have a look through. So we're going to flick through. So it has the basic rule set at the beginning, which you can get as a PDF. And it's a fairly extensive rule set, which is pretty good. So it goes through a lot of info. And then it goes through different missions, the different detachments. I'm really just flicking through this. I'm not going to show off every single page. But then we get some terrain traits. If you want to see a more in-depth look, definitely go check out the Indomitus playlist. If I recall, I'm going to try and remember to put little cards up in the corner. Although I've already referred to a lot, so you might not be able to get in all of them in there. So then we have like a whole bunch of missions for the different sizes. Crusade, which is always a fun thing, which I'm excited about. A bit more about Crusade, and different missions. So this is just all the rules. So when we look at this rule book, let's open up a section. The rules start actually right about here. So what you're getting in the book, in the small book, is this half here. So you're getting half the rule book. So all of this half from the Indomitus hardcover book is just lore and background. And to be honest, in a starter set, particularly the top tier starter set, I would expect that you would get all that lore. I'm kind of disappointed. I think I understand why they haven't done it, based on how they've written the Command Edition mission book. I don't think they want to overload people too much. But it could have been just a couple of pages, like one page each of the different armies. 5 pages on background lore, like where we're at, tell me about the world. Tell me about like the Horus Heresy and how the Emperor ended up in the Golden Throne. I think that is important information to have in a rulebook. But, there's obviously some marketing decision there, so not much we can do about that. So we'll have a quick look at the sprues. We'll actually bring the camera down as well, so we get a little bit closer. There we go, that's better. So I've got the sprues. We'll try and keep the camera straight. These are the Necron sprues. I'm really not going to go into too much detail in these because I have gone into detail in a number of other videos. And I'll try and put some links in cards and links in the description as well. So Necrons, 10 Necrons. You have options of the Gauss Blaster and the Gauss Flayer. Is that right? Who knows? To be honest, I've eaten a lot of cheese tonight and my brain's a bit muddled from too much cheese. So you can load them all out in one weapon or the other, and you get a whole bunch of extra leftover bits. Other Necrons. So this is like pretty sure they're the Scorpic Destroyers or the Scorpic Lords. Honestly, I can't remember right now. So you get 3 of these guys and 1 of these little dudes. Super cute. So you get plenty of models to put together. And then we have the, what are they called again? The Royal Warden. I'll bring that sprue up so you can have a better look. So that's the Royal Warden, so that's sort of basically the commander. So, onto Space Marines. We have the captain with the amazing skeleton shield, which is just the craziest thing. I remember when the trailer came out, the announcement trailer for 9th edition came out, and they had this guy standing there with a skeleton on his shield. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I really do like that model. We have some Assault Space Marines, so 5 on this sprue, and you get like an extra head and an extra weapon on here. Nothing too fancy. This really is, like I keep saying, it's a starter set. It's to get you started, essentially, so you don't want to have too many models. And then we have the 3 bikes. And I like the bikes. Advice on this one, when you put them together, put the outside carapace on, cut the pegs so it goes in properly, as I did not do, and now I have gaps everywhere. So, bring up all the models. Model-wise, I don't want to compare this to Dark Imperium, but Dark Imperium was the last starter set. You don't get as many models. That's what it comes down to. I don't have a model count off the top of my head, but you just don't. In place of all those models, you get all this terrain, because in 9th edition, terrain plays a far bigger role. And we can see in the rules, if I can pull up some parts of the rules, there is like pages, a couple of pages on just terrain. And I'm sure over the life of this edition, the terrain section will be expanded. So it was important that this starter set had terrain, because you're going to have to learn how to use the terrain properly, because every little bit is slightly different. So first up, let's have a look at the pipes, because Games Workshop love their pipes. If you are familiar with the other pipe set, you might notice that these have a lot more detail, and I completely love them. There's just so many little bits and pieces in there. When you want to paint them up, you can go super simple with like a handful of colors, if that, or you can go full on, like get down into the Mechanicus spaces and all the different symbols and all the different bits of wire and cabling and stuff that's coming out. So that's really cool. So even in this bit here, if I can get into view, there's so much detail just in that section there, on the computer panels and the knobs and dials and the servo skulls. You can do some really cool paint jobs on there. So yeah, there is so much detail on here. I'm loving it. Even like down in that little section there, you got a servo skull, a little tiny monitor, some keys, cables, some little dials and everything. So there's tons and tons of detail that you can get into. And we also have this. This is a something shrine, I believe. Again, lots of detail. I love how it's just completely dinted up. And it's definitely a lot bigger than I thought. Let's compare the size. For some reason, I don't have any Space Marines next to me, but I do have a Stormcast Eternal, so we'll measure against that. So it stands up pretty tall when you measure it. It's a pretty big thing. And then there's even the dome bit on top that goes there. So it's kind of big. A lot bigger than I thought it would be. Yeah, I love, like on here, we've got all the different dials and panels, and they're all sort of, some beat up, some aren't. Just very little subtle detail things, like some rivets are missing. And then you've got on this one here how like the outer casing is being blasted away. So there's lots and lots of little bits of detail on there. So these are going to be fun to paint. I'm pretty excited to have a go at that. Then we have the buildings. So this is, when I first saw the buildings, they're very similar to what you can already get in the range. But they're a bit more Mechanicus, a bit more industrial-like. But one of the other things, there is so much attention to detail on this. There's so many more cables going around. So you got like cables going along there and all the way down there. There's rivets everywhere. So there's doing all this terrain is going to be sort of like a little painting project. You got a giant Mechanicus skull, which is always good to have. Yeah, there's so much detail, like even just little dints, little tiny dints. So it sort of just seems to, when I look at it, I want to go in and just sort of cut a few little bit more things off. I think that's really cool. I don't particularly like the underside of this. Yeah, I feel that they've skipped that. I know with the other terrain, which I don't have access to at the moment, I can't pull it over, the underside was actually detailed, so that is a little disappointing. But you're not going to see the underside. And that's probably what they decided, is like, well, you're not going to see that, so why bother? Yeah, so then you have another sprue, which is similar-ish, slightly different, but again, the same idea. Like on the walkway panels, it's actually bent and melted and like dinted. This whole section here, you probably can't see it very well. Oh, that's a little bit better. That whole section like curves downwards. So you've got that whole bit there. There's a bit there that curves upwards. So that's really cool. I like it. So that's pretty much the review. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually talk about this. I'm not going to get it open. No, I will. Come on. So this is the cardboard mat. You can buy this separately in a pack of 2, which I have, which is really nice. Now I have a 3rd one, which is very nice. So it's good that it's not very reflective, which is very nice, particularly when you're playing under strong lights or recording on camera. Yeah, it's nice. So you get this side. I'm not going to fold it all the way out because it is a bit of a pain. Actually, I think this is different. I have a feeling this is a different board. Okay. Oh, let's see if I can pull this in. This is going to be a bit of a pain. Let's actually make some room and we'll pull the camera up because I can't actually pull it any higher. We'll have to deal with this. So I don't so much mean the letters on here. I have the other board that you buy separately. This is a different board. Let's have a look. As you can see, actually we'll bring this back this way. The size is completely different. It folds out to be the same size as far as I'm aware, but how it's put together is different. And actually now I'm thinking, I think this might be a different size completely. Oh no, it's about the same size. It's just how it's cut and folded. That's really weird. So I can't get the whole thing in view without having to maneuver every single thing around in the studio, but this folds into a smaller package. So that's something I didn't realize. So this folds down this size. This is about half the size, as you can see. Interesting. I assumed it was the same thing. It is the same design, the same images on both sides, same size, but just how it folds out. And on this side, you get the numbered, I think they're objective markers or placement markers for the missions. So there you go. All right. Something I did not realize. So let's bring everything back in. Oh my goodness. So you do get a lot of stuff. Let's throw it all in. Throw it all in for a wrap up. And I've lost the instructions. There we go. So, Warhammer 40,000 9th edition, Command edition. Yeah, it's alright. You know, it is what it is. Yes, people are going to argue that there's not enough models in there. The counterpoint to that is the game is very reliant on terrain. The new terrain tools completely, well, I would say completely changes the game, and I can't say that too much because I'm not a huge player, I more collect the models. But it is what it is, and I don't particularly mind it. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you like this kit? How do you like the terrain? Because honestly, look at that door. Come on, get involved on that. Look how dinted that is. It's being pushed out of the doorway completely. So they've really started to go above and beyond what you can and can't do. So even there, you can't quite see, might not be able to see on camera very well because of the shadow, but you have the outer casing of this glass panel or glass screen. There's actually some extra detail inside there. Just a little bit. Just enough to be like, oh yeah, there's something there. So I like it. I want to get some more of the terrain. That's probably like the best thing out of this whole thing. This whole kit is the terrain. So yeah, definitely let me know in the comments. Give me a like if you like this video, and if you have enjoyed this video, think about a subscribe and hit that like button. Hit the like button, wow, hit the bell. And hit the like button, but hit the bell so you can get notifications. So until next time, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.